All right, so basically, we have recently started this experiment, kind of call it experiment in collective consciousness or like uh, quantum theory or something like this.
So we just started this process, and it's really interesting too because it has a lot to do with how we deal with money. Because in this human game of reality, we created money as a form of like, look, see, you're limited. You know, there's scarcity. There's only so much, and you have to do all this stuff to get money and figure it out, and you know, which never works because even if you get a bunch of money, it's not stable, it's not secure, you know, you could lose it in a second. It's like, you know, money's not even real. That's why they call it a bill. You know, it's not even, it's a bill for a debt. It's made out of, like, paper. You know, it doesn't, there's nothing backing it. It's not real. But we're, like, convinced as a society, you know, that it is real. I used to get upset, too, when people would be like, oh, money's not real, you know, even though I woke up from being, when I was in the finance industry and, like, helping people get out of debt, and, you know, looking up fractional reserve banking and stuff like that. I was like, holy crap, like, it's really, really not real. Like, really bad.
But this is like a whole nother level of that.
Yeah, for sure. This is, like, actually embodying and understanding that, like, really living that.
And immediately as our two new friends showed up, we started to feel a shift in things, right? And then they started to talk to us about this book. Essentially, in this book, which we're not going to reveal right now. Basically, we're just going to start this experiment and bring you guys along in our journey of what comes up in this experiment, in what's happening, and then later on, as things develop, we'll share a bit more with you guys, and we'll share the book so you can kind of like play this game with us.
It's strange because my reality is really shifting. I'm not, like Stuart said, it's like vertigo.
Yeah.
You know, so like I have these moments where I'm like super blissed out, like so light, like my body just feels like really light. And then sometimes I'm like getting really emotional, and like right now I'm kind of like out of it a little bit, you know, like it's hard. Once we turned on the camera, I'm like just kind of like.
And basically, that's you know, I've been trying a lot of different things for years that have had a certain amount of effect and help in developing consciousness and expansion. Things like human design, gene keys, plant medicines, yoga, lots of different philosophies, esoteric practices, right? But like there was something really that just hadn't quite clicked, right? Like you hear this thing, oh, you know, we create our own reality. Yeah, sure, but like, what if all of a sudden you woke up and you actually saw, felt, and witnessed the effects of creating your own reality moment by moment?
However you want to put it, you know, the presence of God, or, you know, the source of all things, or the Almighty, however you want to put it, because, like, really that's the truth about who you are, and that's, you know, that's something that you need to know. I'm reclaiming my power now, and I feel the energy, and wherever the power has been trapped, I feel all of it coming back to me, and like I feel it surging through me, you know, and then you open up further to who you really are. So yes, you're like this infinite creator. So you realize at this stage, you know, when you reclaim your power and you open up to who you really are, you realize that, you know, it's an illusion. Now, I gotta be honest, when I went down this pathway a while ago when I was like, oh yeah, it's all an illusion, and I like tried doing these where I was like, okay, everybody's a reflection, and I was doing a lot of shadow work and all these things, and I kind of got turned off to the whole this is an illusion thing, because a lot of people that I knew were like spiritually bypassing, even me, you know, I was spiritually bypassing and not acknowledging things, or doing what the energy was calling forth from myself, you know, because sometimes the energy is asking for us to experience certain things, you know.
that's what we're starting to get into a little bit with this experiment. So in this book, right there, basically, we're starting to play a game. And in this game, we are each the prime mover, the creator, the all-powerful creator of this divine illusion, this collective dream, right? And all of a sudden, if we look into quantum physics, right, we know that it is our consciousness that is collapsing the waveforms of pure potentiality moment by moment. And so up until this point in the game, we have forgotten our power, and we've kind of like left our power around in these kind of trapped, stuck places, kind of like shadows, or you can look at them as eggs of energy that we've stored in certain belief systems, ideas, traumas, all these different sorts of things. And the foundation of this particular game is one of the greatest stuck pieces of energy, preventing us from knowing that we are the creator of this dream, this collective dream, is money.
And it's such a different perspective than what we're, really conditioned to live by. But yeah, you were saying too how when we first started our nonprofit that we really wanted to create this, we wanted to make the world better because ultimately we wanted to have our own time to be able to do what we want, and we wanted that for everybody else, to be able to spend your time doing things that make you happy. The majority of people, even though there's not really any other people on the planet, it's all an illusion, but the majority of people on the planet are just doing things that they hate, or like just getting by. They're just like, I'm gonna go to my job 9 to 5 and just try to, make it through the day, And I don't feel like life has to be this way.
This is the experiment, right? That as a creator, or as the creator of your reality, your illusion, your dream, that you only do that which completely inspires you from a place of, would this be a fun experiment? Would this be a fun game for me to play of sorts? Disregarding all of these other things that we normally convince ourselves that we have to do, like, oh, well, I kind of like this, but I'm doing it for the money. It's my job because I have to make money, I have to pay the bills, I have to do all these things. Well, what if all of that, obligation type stuff, you realized was an illusion that you were creating, a game that you were playing with yourself, and that you only acted from that which is in line with your highest intention of just the pure inspiration of wanting to do something, right?
So part of the process too, is in quantum physics, basically, when there's an observer, so they've taken like parts of atoms and separated them, probably everybody knows what I'm talking about, but basically what they found is when there was an observer, it affected the experiment. And when they affected one part of, this particle, it affected this other particle, even though they didn't touch this one. So it's showing that there is an interconnectedness, and on top of that there is something to do with the observer. So if the observer is looking for something finite, like if I check my banking account, so if the observer is looking for something finite, the consciousness has to pop into the dream or the hologram,
and collapse the wave.
And collapse all the possibilities into
the one thing it was looking for.
Yeah, the one thing, like, oh, I have this much money in my account, So part of the process is embodying and realizing your infinite abundance, and that has a lot to do with money and resources and things like that. And expressing gratitude whenever you use money, because that's really all it's for, is to, express your appreciation for services or goods or favors or whatever.
Here, we're already starting to see these shifts that have went on over the past week. And even before the book got finished, we're starting to kind of like, your higher self, your expanded self is starting to initiate you even as soon as you hear about this right now, okay? But as you really begin to read the book and you start coming from this place of, this is another portion of the experiment, is that we all have infinite bank accounts, in the sense of, as the creator of this reality, we are infinite abundance, right? There's no money, there's no bank accounts, it's all an illusion. So money doesn't come from anywhere, there is no out there is only us as creators. So when we start to come from this place of creating this moment by moment, and there's no need to make money or move money or any of these sorts of things, it is only coming from our pure unlimited abundance.
Yeah, it's like saying we're in a simulation, which all these things are true, but when people use it to like get out of things, it was like not, I just didn't really like that. So at this phase, you open up to really who you are. Once you've dived in fully, you feel the feelings fully. And then you start to reclaim your power and tell the truth about who you really are, which is this infinite creator. And then you open up to it further. So yes, you're this infinite creator. Now you can say, okay, listen, this is an illusion, because it is. It's energetically reclaiming where you've stored your energy. And then from there, after you've done that for a little bit, then you express appreciation, and that you've created all this and that you're having these experiences, even the discomfort, especially the discomfort, because the discomfort is really a signal that is showing you where you're giving your power away, or where you are needing to look at to reclaim. Because when we came here to play this game, the human game, we had to forget everything we knew, like, about ourselves. We had to forget everything, convince ourselves we're exactly the opposite of who we actually are. Born in hospitals, like traumas, like all this traumatic events and all these things. Conditioning is like layer and layer and layer and layer. And over, the course of our childhood and adult life, we put what are called like eggs, or trapped our energy in certain things,
And one of the first things I noticed was, going on my PayPal, I was going to move some money from PayPal to my bank account. I moved $200 from my PayPal to my bank account, went on the next day, and I saw the movement. It said debited $200 from my bank account. I looked at my bank account, the $200 is there, but the PayPal hadn't went down at all, and nobody had sent me any money. So this, in the book, it talks about these little types of things that you'll start to see. And then as you retrieve power through this kind of specific process, right? This is kind of the key clincher or component of this book that was so revealing, is this process. So what we're going to be doing, we're just going to put a question mark on how long we're going to do this. We're going to bring you along on our journey through this game, this process of creating the reality and only doing things from inspiration, day by day and moment by moment. And we're gonna share with you what comes up, and hope it's a fun journey, maybe as fun for you, or at least partially as fun for you as it is for us. So I hope you guys have some fun with this.